Hello everyone, this is Nu-Trix, the Synth guy, and today I'm asking a question. I have received on my YouTube channel a question from a guy named Valdis Kreb. Thank you for the question. I hope I didn't destroy your name. Valdis is asking three questions. The first one is, does the monopoly has MIDI learn function? Meaning, if you want to assign a controller to it, can you just press the key and say, accept this as the right controller for this knob? So the first question. Second question is, can the A-01 from Roland sequencer drive the clock of the monopoly? And the third one is, can you assign the knob on the A-01 to filter cutoff, resonance, or other type of controllers within the monopoly? Now, the answers I will give you will be for the monopoly, but I'll also look into the other Korg apps to see which one works, and they don't all work the same way, but let's start with the monopoly. So okay, so I'm going to switch to the monopoly. Now in the monopoly I'm going to verify that I'm connected to my controller, and by that I'm going to go, okay, I've got the Roland A-01 connected. I also have this. I will show this a little bit later on, but this is another option that I'm actually using from Korg. This is also a cool one. So it's also connected. The two of them are Bluetooth. So it's done. Now, if I play this, I'm going to put my headphones. If I play this, it just works. Now, when using the monopoly, if I want to be able to use the controllers from the A-01 for this and assign them to the one I want, there is no MIDI learn on this. Sadly, there's none. You can, however, go into the setting page and look into the different controllers. So you've got 4 different controllers. So the virtual patch control, somewhere else in the app you can say what virtual patch control change one controls, but in this case you say what is the source of the controller. So by default it's assigned to controller number 1, which is modulation, which is here. Controller number 2, which is breath controller. In this case, I can assign it to this. So you just go in the panel and change it manually in here. The cool thing is that you've got 4 controllers only. So 1, 2, 3, 4. They're by default assigned to modulation, breath controller, CC16 and CC17. So I can go manually on this and save them or assign them to these same numbers. So then these will control the destination that is part of the sound. So these virtual patch control, they're in my sound. So when you switch sounds, these 4 controllers will control other part of the sound. So it is not a MIDI learn, but you can actually tweak them and save them. Now the problem, if you switch to another synth from Korg, you might not have the same controllers. So they don't have a standard way to work. Each of them is a little bit different. So if you match this to that, it works, but in a way, let's say I like to have control over my sound. Well, 4 controllers for me is not enough, because I need at least some control over my envelope and my cutoff filter, the cutoff point for the filter, and the resonance. So then right away you've got like 6. Now I might want to have control over the filter envelope and the amplitude envelope, or might want to have control over the LFO. I don't know. I would like then to have at least I don't know, 8 faders or controllers or knobs to be able to control. So 4 is not bad, but in my case I would say cutoff point, resonance, and then attack decay. So I don't know, it depends on what you want to do. So 4, these can be assigned to what you want, but you need to manually do it. Now what's cool about this thing is you can actually save it in memories. You would be able to reload, let's say memory 1 is for the monopoly, memory 2 is for another synthesizer. So you have like 16 memories. So you could have a memory for each of the different modules you're using virtual in the iPad. So it will work. Now the other approach is using this from Korg. Now this is the NanoKeys The NanoKeys are really interesting in the fact that it is made by Korg, especially for controlling stuff like Gadget. Now, if you use this to control the monopoly, it works, but if you look at the knobs, they don't move anything. You know, they're not assigned to anything. So you would still need to assign these knobs to the right part. So it will work, but a little bit of work. So there's no MIDI learn. A short answer, no, there is no MIDI learn. But look at this. If we go into Gadget, now that's where it becomes interesting. In Gadget, if I load a sound, let's not go Miami, this synth here. Now, I play it. Now my knobs here, I can use these and assign them to the sound controllers that I want. By default, they've been assigned to the controllers of Monopoly. So if by chance they're assigned to the same type of parameters, they will work. Meaning that if you're sending controller number one, well, from one synth to the other, from one gadget to the other, it might not be the same controller. Now, in the case of Gadget, most of the Gadget have at least something like the cutoff point at this, you know, is the same controller to control it. Then again, I go back to the logic that 4 is not enough for me. Now, if 4 is good enough for you, again, you could save one memory per module. So you would just go on Korg website and you would have the MIDI spec sheet of every gadget. So you would be able to know the controllers you want to control and program them here and then save in the memory of the A01. So you'll be able to load them when you need, depending on the modules you want. Now, if you use a lot of Gadget, and it's really, I do, because I create with Gadget, this is cool for the keys. This is cool for the fact that you can use the internal arpeggiator to control some of it. But if I really want to tweak the sounds, I will actually use this. Now, I bought this before getting that, before this even was released. And it works well, you know. You get the keys you can play. You've got control panel. So the chaos pad you can use to control notes, or you can assign it to different things. And all the knobs, if you look at the screen here, every one is assigned to something. Like you get cutoff filter, crush, you've got the level for the carrier here, you've got the carrier pitch, you've got the level of this other, the output, and you've got the depth of the cross modulation. So all of these knobs are assigned to something. If I switch to another instrument, let's say, let's go for an instrument then. So this, all the knobs again are assigned to something that is logical. It doesn't mean it's the same, but it's logical that all of the 8 of them are reassigned to something I can actually use. So. And it's Bluetooth. So this something is very small to carry, you know, about the size of your iPad. So it's very portable, very simple. But then these are not real keys. So again, it's not bad, but very portable, very cool. But then if you want keys, you'll go with something like that, or you will hook this up with MIDI to a real keyboard to have the keys you want. But for a mobile kit, I think this is really cool. Now, if you only have your keys and you don't want to buy more keys, but you want controllers, Korg is selling this. Oh, well, actually, let's go here. You'll see this is really cool. If you go into settings, you've got, of course, the basic stuff. If you go into other settings, you go open, and then that's where you say, I want Korg to support the NanoKey Studio in a native mode. So by default, it will follow this and work with this and reassign these knobs to the one for the different sound you have. Now, you also have Nano Control Studio. So if you don't want to have keys, because you only have like this one, you could buy something that is the Nano Control Studio, and then you would have faders, knobs, pads, but you wouldn't have the keys. But then you would have more faders and more controllers. So it is a really, really cool buy if you're somebody who likes and really use Gadget, I think, because that's really where the the fact of using these two, the controller made for Gadget with Gadget, it really is an optimized way to work if this is what you want to do. I bought this before. If I would buy it today, I would probably not buy this one. I would buy the Studio Control, the Nano Control Studio, sorry. I would buy the Nano Control Studio because then it would just add on to this. So using these two, I would have my full kit. I would have my controllers here for my sounds, and I would have the keyboard and a little bit of controls to have the evolution and control and playback, playing capacity that I would like to have. So I think that this is probably one of the cool features to have. And for the drum, these can be used as pads. And this also works for the Mac or the PC. So if you want to use this with a computer, it is also a controller. So now the other question was, can we have the tempo of the Roland built-in step sequencer control or sync in any way with the Korg iMono Poly? I gotta be honest, never tried it. I'll test it with you. If I press play, right now it's sync. No, it's not sync. It's basically just playing the notes. Now, can we sync this to that? Let's go. Let's go look into here. Can we have, there's nothing about sync. Let's go back here. If we select something that has an arpeggiator, well, let's turn on the arpeggiator. It's not possible. So, I was testing it while doing this demo, and it is not possible unless I'm just not finding where it is. If it's possible, it's hidden somewhere, but it is not easily, at least possible in a direct way, to sync the iMono Poly internal arpeggiator to an external one. It seems to have no places where I can actually assign internal MIDI clock to something. But, and that's the thing, but if I get out of here and I go back into Gadget, well, in Gadget it's possible. So if I go, I'm going to create a new track, new song, okay. I'm going to load Montpellier, which is this one. Now, it doesn't work. Now, if I do load the Korg iMono Poly inside Korg Gadget, you go, I've got the sound, so yes. And if I press this, I'm triggering my arpeggiator from this one here. My step sequencer is stringing this. And it can sync because Gadget can receive or send sync. So it's possible to put this one into play mode and having to, actually have to go MIDI sync into external. So right here you go into external. So if I go here and I press play, it's actually waiting. So if I press here, now it's playing. If I stop, it stops. I press play. So because Gadget can sync, not the synth itself. And, well, by putting the Gadget, that is the iMono Poly, inside Gadget, the app, now it can sync, but then it cannot. What I'm meaning by that is that if you want to use the internal arpeggiator, well, it does not exist in the Gadget format. In the Gadget format, you only have the sound, you have the synth section, the amp section, and the effects section. So there is no arpeggiator in the integrated version of the synthesizer inside Korg Gadget. Now, it's something I talked about when I talked about how the iMono Poly works, but just sad. That's just sad because it could be very powerful to use these, especially in the fact that if you, let's say I load another one, if I load the Chicago, which is a TB synth, if I press this, I can on top of this have, so I've got the two playing at the same time. time I've got this one triggering the notes, and this one is very, very fast. So that's just sad that the only arpeggiator that we can use in Korg is the one built in into the Chicago, but all the other ones, if you go back here, the one from Montpellier does not exist in the Gadget form. It exists only in the standalone format. The one for the Lexington, which is basically the ARP Odyssey, again, the arpeggiator that you have when it's standalone, you lose it when you're in Gadget. So in this case, no, it's not possible to sync Montpellier or iMono Poly arpeggiator to an external one because there's just no sync feature. If you find one way to do this, please write in the comments how to do it, because I can't find it. I don't know where it is. And even if you put it in Gadget, still, when you do this, you lose the arpeggiator, which is kind of a... I don't get it why you lose it, because it's in the code. It should work. So that's kind of a little bummer here for me. So 3 questions, 3 answers. To be able to use this arpeggiator sync between the iMono Poly and an external device, no, it does not support. MIDI learn, no, it does not support it. You can tweak it, but it will not do MIDI learn like you have in a computer where you click on the knob and then you move this one and then it learns it. It does not work like that. But still, it's very possible to work. And if you can afford it, something like this, if you use Gadget a lot, it is matched to Gadget. So in my case, that's what I bought. But you know, if you're doing a lot of Gadget, it is probably the best buy for you. And the third question was, I don't remember. The third question was basically, can you assign these to whatever you want? And yes, you can. So this is really a powerful controllers. You talk about these 4, but these 2 could be assigned to anything you want. So again, this could be, let's say, cutoff filter and resonance, and this could be the envelope if that's what you want. So you could assign it to the way you want and control different module. Now, if you do this, keep in mind that the iMono Poly doesn't have 6 controllers. They only have 4. So of course, pitch bend and modulation would stay pitch bend and modulation, and you would have the 4 controllers here to assign whatever you want. So it's very efficient depending on what you want to do. It all depends on how many controllers you want. You know, 4 plus 2, good enough, good. If you want more than that, if you want instant control, this is matched to the Synth in Gadget. If you want more control than this, then you've got the Studio, the NanoKey's Studio, if I'm not mistaken for the name. I'll put the names of these devices in the description if you want to look at them up. Well, that's it. I hope that it helps you understand a little bit more about how you can control these devices. And I know that they're not the same beast when they're outside of Gadget as when they're inside of Gadget. I hope you like this demo. Again, if you have any questions, suggestions, comments, write them down at the bottom. Hope you like what I'm doing. If you also want to know more about what I do music. My last EP was done on Gadget, so look it up, Nu-Trix. You can look on my Nu-Trix.com. The address is in the description. And I hope to see you soon. Cheers.